Hello there everybody, this is Roman Ronin here, and today I present to you a 3 versus 3. Now, the quality of this video will be a little poor, as it's a very large match. This will also probably be my last video until Rome 2, which I'm getting a new computer, so the lag issue should be down. This battle is a 31k match. The rules of 31k are only 6 cav, no artillery, and no elephants. So as you can see here, I have urban spam, which is a pretty general concept. And a lot of people don't realize too that in a 31k, it's all about your formations, your tactics. You're using your cavalry as the winning factor. Now over here, I have my Greek ally, Cleomenes III, and he brought a small contingent of Cretans, and they're a supplemental force, maybe to kill off a bit of cav as they approach. They're not going to be a game winner, but the Spartans are going to form a close-knit wall with overlapping spears to prevent any frontal penetration. My ally over here, Titan's Beast, has brought an army similar to mine. His formation and tactics are a bit different, as you'll see over here once my troops align. I have a line up front that is in a staggered, loose formation, and I'm turning here to face my opponent. A lot of this is the early approach to your enemy. 31k battles are very fun. They can become a bit dull at times, but I like to view them more as a chess match, as you tend to have the same key components, the same structure in your army, match to match, but you change up your tactics, be it in formation or how you manipulate your cavalry or your opponent. Now, I won't be doing many close-ups here, but once the battle does engage, you will see me placing individual urban cohorts into testudos. And on a historical note, these urbans are much like the Praetorian Guards, and they are a highly trained Roman elite soldiers. Now, these type of soldiers did fight on the battlefields in against the Dacians and peoples along those areas, and in probably various other fights. But in a battle of this scale, you would see more of your typical Roman legionnaire. This battle itself is about, from my recollection, it said about 10,000 men, which is still small in terms of realistic scale. And with this much lag, too, having, a real-sized 100,000 against 100,000 battle would be terrible. I mean, even if my computer was phenomenal, it'd still be something that would just be tremendously hard to recreate. Now, a battle such as this, Rome versus Rome, that was very typical. Rome is known for having numerous civil wars, but Romans fighting alongside the Greeks, the only battle of which I can recall, they did not fight with the Spartans, but against the Spartans, and it's called the Battle of Gythium. And Rome and the Achaean League allied together to defeat the Spartans. Eventually, though, it led to the defeat of Nabis, and he surrendered and capitulated to the Allies. Which Spartan surrender is something you don't see much, but Rome was very capable of it. And at Rome's height, Sparta was still a fine state, but not quite as fine as it was in its glory days, versus the advanced Roman armies with their superior tactics. Here we begin to close the lines. Now, with cavalry in a 31k, you do not want to throw them away, period. There are some realistic aspects to 31k with cav. For instance, if my cav were to move to this flank, and he were to come through here and charge through my center, he could rout my entire army. In realistic terms, that's not possible. At least, I couldn't see it happening. But in this game, it's quite easy with a lack of spearmen. That's why you use your urbans as a holding, and your cav to pin and kill. And here you see his men. He has 2 lines. My opponent here, Wolf. And I'm actually fighting 2 members of the Wolf clan and a member of the Co clan, Spider Pig. They're all great friends. At least Spider. I don't know these two as well. But they're all good people, good players from my recollection. And this is just a fun battle. Win or lose, nobody's really in it for who's the better player. Because I've lost to people of actually equal or lesser skill than me. Sometimes it just depends on the day. Now here I want to point out a error. These urbans are completely doing what makes the Spartans great. They are charging them head on, and they're isolated from their main body over here. Which, man, that lag is terrible. I hope you guys are getting the general concept of what I'm trying to do, my tactics here. This will be the last battle that is this laggy, unless I get a little overly ambitious with Rome 2, which is about a little over a week away. I can't wait. I'm ordering a new computer tomorrow, actually. I'm going to spend around $700 on it. I may put up the specs. I don't have a huge fan base now, but if anyone's curious on what I'm using to play Rome, just, to help yourself, feel free to message me. I'm a pretty open guy. I respond to everyone about anything and everything. Now, there's an isolated force over here, but on this side, this flank, me and my ally both saw the opportunity to attack these urban cohorts. Now, there was virtually no communication between me and my allies, but as you will see, we can read off each other very well. We've played a lot of matches together, and at any 3 versus 3, there's going to be lag. Communication on Rome, due to its inferior UI of having to hit T, then select the number, and then type in your information, and then the lag, and hope it goes through, is typically not a good way to communicate, because by the time your message gets through, it's too late. So I suggest either using voice chat, or just reading off basic things, such as my ally here pulled his cav back, so I knew to pull mine and not pursue. And here I'm over pushing my boundaries a bit too far into the Brudiai's line here, but there's still a solid push at these areas. I have men set in the back in reserve. Some have been set to loose formation to absorb Pila. The initial Pila storm has ended, and I have my urbans here who absorb the main volley of the Pila. Now another hit here by his cav comes in, and they're just ripping through my lines. These Praetorian cavalry on a 31k are the breadwinners. They're gonna demolish the enemy, they're going to tear them apart, and they're gonna win the game for you. And I'm gonna keep reiterating that fact, because you have to use them sparingly. As you see, we're cycling out here, and I'm demolishing this line, and I have 2 units here routing, both urban cohorts, and I'm trying to mass my men together, because whenever these cavalry are standing still, even if you have an inferior amount of cav, if you charge, that bonus will give you the edge, and you will usually win the fight. And you have to keep that in mind, 31Ks. Typically, whoever gets the best charge with their cav on the enemy's cav will win. And you have to be clever about that by manipulating your opponent. Now let's look over here. What's going on in this area? My Greek ally here is forming a wall and pushing forward. The Brudii player here is holding his men in reserve, but the Spartans are solidly pushing together to take down these urbans. On this side there's a standstill. As you can see here, my ally Beast has placed his men into Testudo, as well as Spider. And it's mainly an exchange of Pila. On my side, though, it seems that's where all the carnage, the cyclic charges, the massive cav is going. And personally, I feel that my enemies at this point have a huge advantage. They still have a substantial amount, of infantry, and they are superior in cav. And I think they noticed that right here as they began to charge in and mass charge. Unlike a 15k where you may individually select your cav units and place them onto different units, in a 31k, a mass charge usually works quite well, if not better, than trying to individually place your cavalry to get those flanking hits. Cavalry in mass is an unstoppable force, and people need to realize that I've lost many times simply because I try to take my cav and space them apart like I do in my 15k battles and hit from multiple angles. And they just hit me with everything they've got, and they obliterate the unit before I can even get that flank, even if it was a very quick and short cut to hit their flank. Now here you can see my line is just being decimated. They are cutting me through, and they have a good cav edge. It's dwindling down. They kept their men engaged a bit too long. A charge here, though, went and clipped the Spartan lines as my Greek ally is sending his men over. And Beast is making a shift here, which I don't see the purple player really trying to execute much. There he goes. Alright, he's going to go for a surround on us while we try and roll this flank over and surround from this angle. Again, I will say there was no communication between us. We fight together often, we know how to react with each other. The general idea coming into this was we had Greece as our center and two Roman factions as our flanks. So two very mobile factions on the sides with a very strong defensive faction supported by us and our teamwork in the middle. Got a little caught up there. It's a pretty cool battle. The amount of bodies and carnage is just horrendous. And this is really, as I said earlier, a small-scale battle. Only 10,000 men. Imagine hundreds of thousands of men. This whole entire map would just be lined with bodies. That kind of battle would be awesome, and I hope one day to be able to play something of that scale, of a realistic scale. I've seen videos on YouTube of Shogun reaching up to 50,000. I'm sure Rome 2 will reach numbers quite high as well, but the PC specs will be insane to reach that with good detail. And by a realistic battle, I like to see something as 200,000 on one side versus, 300,000. Just a little bit different odds, since those ancient battles were always, a bit one-sided. Now, as my side was completely destroyed, Beast made a good, decisive movement to take his troops and reinforce his flank, because if he had let that flank fall and engaged with purple, we would have been steamrolled and slowly but surely surrounded and killed. As you can see here, the Spartans are pushing together. The lag's dying out, so you can see their overlapping spears. This method has been used the entire battle. He kept his men in a very close formation, and when you go to deploy your troops, you can hit the plus and minus keys to close the gaps, and that's just what he did. And then he put them to where the front line would be covered in the back by the back spears, so there'd be no penetration at all. And it's just literally a steamroller pushing through anything. And Pila doesn't even really work well on Spartans, because these are gold Spartans. So they're elite. They're, excuse my language here, but they're kick-ass. Great movie. Just saw the second one the other day. Won't spoil it. But anyways, they have 2 hit points too, so they can really take a Pila to the head. Forget the knee, man. These guys can take it straight to the dome and keep fighting. I mean, realistic or not, that's still pretty cool. And that's why in a 31k, Spartans are the way to go as Greece. Now, as you can see here, an overview of the battlefield, the lag is pretty much gone, so I'm happy. I like seeing it gone. But the carnage, the mass chaos was here with the cyclic charges, the defensive formations with our urbans taking Pila shots. One of our opponents, the Brudii, has admitted, and now we're slowly working to surround these urbans here, the final fight. Even the Cretans have gotten involved in. I don't really think they did a whole much. They did stand back, shoot arrows. Cretans on this game are like a unit of Legolas's just working together. They're pretty tough too. I love Greece. Their lack of cav is saddening, but they're a very great faction. And they're just being creamed here as the coalition of Roman Greeks, of Roman Spartans, takes out these rebellious Roman upstarts who sought civil war in our nation. A little ramble there. But I hope this gives you guys a clear understanding of what a 31k is. There's not a whole lot of footage, but basically with the 31k, it's all in formation. That's what your technique and strategy is. In your 15K battles, yes, formation is very crucial. Tactics, of course, are not irrelevant, but a lot of it too comes down to your army composition. Whereas in a 31K, army compositions are pretty much understood. Archers, don't bring archers really. If you're Greece, if you want them, that's fine to take complementing shots on the enemy's cav. But just keep in mind with Greece, you're going to want to form a penetrating wall and push. And I prefer Greece to be used in a allied battle such as this. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you on Rome 2. Then again, I may get a little ambitious and put something up before then. Thanks, and take it easy.